All right, guys, for mobility today, we are going to be hitting the quads, the hip flexors, a little bit of anterior chain work here today. We will be using a foam roller for one of the exercises. It can be optional, though, if you don't have your foam roller at home. We do have a ton of them at the gym, though, so if you want to grab that for this, that'll be a great option for our last mobility stretch. So, starting on our stomach, hands are going to be underneath those shoulders. Here we're going to press up into our up dog. So depending on that upper back mobility and what we want to do for opening our chest, you can start in just that baby cobra here. So here we can be pressing down through those shoulder blades. Again, just allowing the chest to open, bringing the shoulders down and away from the ears, and eventually progressing up as we start to loosen up through that core. Allow the low back to release. Eventually locking out those elbows. Now in yoga, you might often find that the up dog is an active position where your quads are off the ground, glutes are engaged. Here we're just trying to sink into that stretch. So allow the pelvis to fully relax into the ground. Think about your belly dropping to the ground. This is the one time I'm not going to tell you belly button to spine, just let it relax. What I like to do to make sure I'm not holding too much tension in my shoulders or my neck, rotating your neck side to side. You can look as far as you can to the right. You can go far to the left. You can also do ear to shoulder here, so getting a little bit of a stretch in that neck. And lastly, we can go chin to chest and then up to the sky. And from this position, we're going to move into our deep lunge. So coming up onto all fours, you're going to step the right foot on the outside of the right hand. And then focusing, as we were before, on just relaxing that pelvis down towards the ground. We can start hands on our thighs, allowing the weight of your body to assist. If you find that you're not feeling this in that left hip flexor there, you can reach one hand straight up overhead. You can also add a little bit of a lateral side lean with that left arm. And we'll switch to our other side now. So coming back to all fours. And when you're ready, stepping that left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. If bringing your hands up onto your thighs is a little bit too intense, just hanging out, hands flat on the mat is perfectly fine. Just making sure, again, that you're allowing that pelvis to relax. We are not holding any tension there. And then for our more intense stretch on our left leg, we can reach that right arm straight up. If that adds enough for you there, we can hang out there, or we can lean our torso to the left, reaching that right arm over towards the left wall. This is a great pose to do after you've been sitting at a desk all day. Help release those hip flexors, or even after a run, if your hip flexors get sore after you run. Awesome. For this next one, we're going to come onto our side. So I'm actually going to face the camera so you can see me. But we are going to lay on your side, hips stacked. You can just relax that upper arm. And then we're going to be pulling heel towards our sit bone by grabbing the top of the foot. So something that's important that we want to focus on here that often gets away from us when we're doing this standing is that knee to knee connection, right? So when we're doing it standing and our knees out here, you're hitting a different part of your quad. You're not biasing as much the true front of the quad, that rec fem, that's going to help with that hip flexion. So in stretching out our hip flexors, we want to make sure that we're getting all of the quads. If this is something that's too intense, grabbing back for that foot, you can use a band with this. You can even loop your foot through a towel and hold on to it that way. And we'll switch to the other side now. So coming onto our right side and pulling that left heel into our glute this time. I'm stretching out my quads, something I like to do because my quads have a hard time just relaxing. I like to actively engage my glute. So I squeeze my glute, feel a little bit deeper of a stretch in that quad, and then release. Awesome job. And then for our last one here, we are going to use that foam roller if you have it. And if you don't have it, you can do this without a foam roller too. So we're going to be placing the foam roller under our hips. Placing the foam roller under our hips. So I like to think of it below the line of your pants, but not at your low back. Okay, so we definitely want it over our hips and not our back. So you're gonna bring your right knee in towards your chest here, using your hands to give it a nice squeeze. And then we are just letting the left leg relax over the foam roller. So if we keep it straight, biasing a little bit more of those hip flexors when we allow the knee to bend, feeling it a little bit more in that quad. And I feel this one right in the front of my hip. This is one that you might not feel right away, especially if you're a little bit more mobile of a person, but the longer you hang out here, the more you'll start to feel it. Again, making sure you're breathing nice and deep. And we'll go ahead and switch sides. So pulling that left knee into the chest this time and letting the right leg drop. So essentially we're just using the foam roller in this stretch to get a little bit of an overstretch, right? To lift the hips up and make this a little bit more difficult. If this is something that is too difficult or you're feeling the stretch too much, you can just do this stretch flat on the mat, bringing one knee to chest at a time. And when you're ready, go ahead and work yourself up to a seated position. And awesome job, we're done with that one.